Hello, everybody. My name is Mantvydas. As you can see in the slides, I work in Affecto Lietuva. And as I mentioned like a few hours ago, here I'm going to just tell a story about the project which is still not finished, which is currently going on. And basically, I will concentrate on the problems we are facing. So, I mean, if it will at some point look really very, very bad, don't think that all we do is just fail. I mean, I just think that from hearing that from others, you will just get the most of the experience and maybe most of the ideas how you can, well, maybe not to get into those troubles at one point, or at another point, maybe if you are in those troubles, or if in some time you will be in those troubles, maybe you will have some ideas how to manage them. And I'll start from the boring part. I'll tell a little bit about me. Why I decided, I know it's not very interesting, but why I decided to put that in is actually that you would understand from which, how I see everything. I mean, what is my background and how I see stuff and why I talk one way or not the other. So first is my study background. I actually graduated in IT sector, software engineering. And after that, I started to work in an IT company. Actually, I started to work when I was in my early studies, but that's another story. And currently, I'm studying in a business school. So actually, at some point, I start to look at things from a little bit higher. And at some point when I will be talking, it might happen that this will be a little bit higher level. So if you will want some details, I mean, I'm still also an IT guy, so please just remember a question, ask me, and we'll be able to talk about that. As I mentioned, I work in Affecto Lietuva. I worked there for over 6 years. That's not the only company I was working for, but that's from where I have most of my experience. And actually, I did work in various roles, starting from developer, consultant, in various roles as a consultant. I was a junior, senior. I was at some point doing trainings, was a stream manager or group manager, project manager. With Scrum, I also was a Scrum master. At some point, I was playing also some role of a product owner. And in this project, officially my role is defined as a project manager, but that's the stuff I do for reporting and stuff like that. And in a project itself, I most probably work as some kind of a coach. And certification background, I just wanted to add this one, just to tell that to everybody that yesterday I finally got the certified product owner training finished. So, so thank you. I see my trainer. Thank you for that. It was very useful. And let's move on. And I'll quickly go through the agenda to structure what I will be talking about. So first, I will quickly describe the project that you would understand what we are talking about, yes? Then I'll talk, as I said, I will tell a story. So we'll start from the beginning, and I will tell a little bit how everything started and what we were doing before actually we started the project. Next thing is I will tell briefly how we were managing to use Scrum itself. I mean, how we managed to apply the Scrum rules. And the final part, and most probably the most interesting one, is I will talk about client involvement, because as it is an implementation project, it was very important, and we'll see what problems we had in this area. Okay, so let's go back about the project. The project about which I will be talking about, it is a core insurance system implementation project. And what it actually means is that when you implement this system and it goes live for the client, most of the client's business processes actually depend on that system. So if you will imagine insurance company, so what we have here is we have client management, agent management, we have all the policy administration, we have claim handlings, and all the accounting stuff related to that. So that's the basic, and that's the core of this system. So if we go live with the system which is not working, it's not that something will stop, but it's actually all insurance company will not be able to work. It is a fixed price project, so just a note that people are saying that it is impossible to do Agile Scrum projects in a fixed price environment. Of course, it is more difficult, but it is possible. The size of the project itself, we have around 40 people involved. And that 40 people, it's not a development team, but it's an all team. So actually, it includes also the client IT people and the business. And from our side, we have roughly about 15 people out of that 45. And how we have decided to do this project, well, if you will imagine insurance business, what they do, they sell insurance, yeah, products. We call it products, insurance products. And when we sold the project, in that project, we committed to implement them 4 different products. And initially, it was the plan that what we'll do, we will have a project. Actually, we plan to do a waterfall project. Well, not we, but the client was imagining it as a waterfall project. And in the end of that project, they'll get the system working with functioning 4 products. So when we came up to the table where we were actually talking about stuff, we said, all right, that's a great stuff. Let's split it into 4 different parts, and let's implement it by product. Looks easy, yes? And that's why I'm talking here. We are, am I not shouting? Or am I? Good. Because it's strange to hear yourself, you know. We were using Scrum as an implementation methodology. I mean, Scrum by the abbreviation, at least that's what in Wiki is written, that Scrum is for product development, yes, but we used it for the implementation, and I don't see the problem with that. Okay, so as I said in the beginning, I will tell you how everything actually started. So how we get the projects in IT industry. There is a tender, yeah, and we we get some kind of the requirements, actually very high-level requirements. We do some kind of an estimation. Of course, we are allowed to ask some questions if something is not something we don't understand. We give a proposal, and then IT company out of those maybe choose few companies that they like and would be able to implement it, and then they talk later on, and out of that, they finally choose the one who gets a project, yeah? So, nothing new. And, of course, this document with the requirements, as I mentioned, which you are getting, it's a very high level, yeah? So, if you have a line which says, that's from your example, let's see, we need a possibility to cross the river. So, okay, when you read that requirement and you know that you need to make estimations and actually to win the project, so you think, we'll give them a boat. We'll give them a rowing boat, yeah, and they will be able to go through the river. And on the other side, actually what the customer is imagining, he's imagining a big bridge with three lines to one side and 3 lines to the other side. So yeah, it's actually from where you get problems later on, but that's how things are. And when we did some kind of, well, when we made a proposal, we said to the table with the client, as I mentioned, we said, all right, let's implement the system in 4 different builds. So the product per build. And one more thing is actually, when you are implementing the first product, what you need to do is you need to cover all the processes, business processes, yeah? And later on, additional products is just an add up. I mean, if you have the same clients, you have the same processes, you have the same payment methods, so to add additional product, it's easy. But what we did when we were talking with them, we said, okay, let's take 40% of the budget, and with that 40% of the budget, let's deliver you first product, and later on we'll have other stages, which we also defined how much approximately they might take, then we will implement others. And well, you have a huge advantage because you will get the first product sooner, so the better payback and so on and so forth. Lots of different stuff. And that's actually how the client heard what we told them. And how we remember what we were saying is, all right, let's do it like this. Let's take the first product and let's take the functionality which is really, really necessary for your business to work, for you to be able to sell that product, and let's implement it. And later on, we'll see what we are actually missing, and we'll build up stuff around it, and together with that, by implementing other products. And by that, I mean, by that you will get a great system. But yeah, as I said, there's some little difference between what we heard and between what client heard, and where is the truth? I don't know, maybe most probably somewhere in the middle. So we had the contract and we have started the project. And of course, I was assigned as I said, officially a project manager to that project. So I got a team of people. And this project is an international project. So actually, most of the team which is working with that project is from another country. And some of the guys, including me, came from Lithuania to help them to do the project. So what I got not actually a team, but I got various people who used to work together in some cases, but really not as a team as it is. And I had to do something before. So what I did for the first, and what I really recommend you to do in that situation, I organized some training, actually Agile training. I did convince the management of another country that, as Poland is a small country, you really don't have proper trainers there, so I brought one from Lithuania. And we had the training, and actually everybody was very happy, enthusiastic about it. And I got one feedback from that, how did he say? Before the training, I kind of knew Agile because I read about it and so on and so forth. And I knew how it works, but now, after the training, I understand why it should work. So it was very crucial and important things for people motivation. Yeah, so we started the project. And how did we do with the Scrum? So as I said, we didn't have a team. And the first and most probably the most important task for us was to form a team itself. What we did have people who had various previously had various roles. So from waterfall projects, what we had is we had one project manager, lots of stream leads, as we have like different, in insurance industry, you have like, let's say, products and claims, yeah? So it's totally different business, from a business side, it's totally different stuff, and you need different people with different knowledge to work in those areas. So we have those stream leads, and each stream lead knows his area. And we had some developers, testers who were working under those stream leads, and they were reporting to those stream leads, and the stream leads were reporting to project management. So somehow out of that, we had to refactor the teams. So what we did in the beginning, okay, we have decided that stream leads are the most senior people, so most probably that will be analysts, Scrum Masters, yeah. And we had such role, product owner proxy, which we actually is some kind of analyst in our case. And what we did, as we had 13 people in the development, we have decided that, okay, one team will be too big. The problem which we had is, as I said, we had 4 stream leads with different knowledge, and we couldn't decide that we can have one analyst, one product owner, or one product owner proxy who would be able to cover everything. So we came up with an assumption that, okay, we will have 4 product owner proxies, and as we will have 4 in a 13 people team, it makes sense that the product owner will not be their full-time job, but there will be also team members. So we split it into 2 Scrum teams, and each team had its Scrum Master, 2 product owner proxies, and at the same time developers, and some developers and testers in it. And yeah, we came up due to that decision, we came up with a huge problem, actually. Because, yeah, I do like product owners myself, but at some point, you know, they are people whose main responsibility is to get the requirements and to deliver a product and make the customer happy. And what happens when they are inside of the team? It's almost impossible to control what they are doing. So, for example, if you plan something for a sprint, you end up that a product owner is getting something new, and even without your knowledge as a Scrum Master, he just, you know, goes talks with a developer, and that developer starts to do some other stuff which is not on the board. And that makes sprints fail, for sure. That's tested in our project as well. So after we noticed that, we did some restructurization. We said, okay, let's do the one development team. Let's take the product owners out of those teams. And it did work a little bit better, but we still had the same issue. And actually, if we will look at the history, I mean, how people were used to work, those guys, those product owners were stream leads. And those people in the development team, they were working for those stream leads, so they are just used to that. And of course, there is some time needed for the transition. So, I mean, the process itself is quite good, but it is very important role of the people also. How they do and how they are, what are their, how to say, just how they are used to do things, and it takes time for them to change. If we'll go to some parts of the Scrum, okay, we did a daily Scrum. We called it stand-ups. It went just fine. We didn't do Scrum of Scrums because I said we had only one team. We had an issue with a sprint planning meeting. And why we had an issue with it, as I said, as we made our most senior people as the product owners, what we lost in our development team, we lost competence. Yeah, so those product owners, they were the most experienced technical guys. And when you come to the planning, product owners comes with some user stories, which has to be delivered. Those people who will actually be doing it, they, at least at the beginning, they had no clue what has to be done. Well, okay, maybe they had a little clue what has to be done, but in any case, they were talking with those product owners as an experts what really has to be done, and they totally had no clue how long it will take. So we ended up that. But of course, people from their nature, they are very optimistic. And they say, yeah, of course, okay, I'll do that, that, and that, and that, and that. And we ended up that we were taking lots of stuff into the sprint. And of course, not delivering all of it. And what is most probably the biggest problem in this case is that when you take a lot, there is a huge risk that you will deliver even less if you take not that much, because you will just start some of the stuff and you will not finish it. Yeah? So just be careful. We didn't have a backlog grooming meetings, and I see that as a huge problem. But as I said, due to that product owners were the experts, and kind of for them to make sense to talk with the team, because they don't know anything. But yeah, after some time now, I think at some point we will be ready for that. We had the sprint review meetings. We had it with the business. We were presenting them the functionality which we built over the sprint. Nothing to say there. I mean, we were doing the presentation. Everything worked fine, at least with the features we were delivering. Of course, sometimes we had issues. But I think it's okay. With the sprint retrospective, that's actually a great tool to get some feedback. But as well, in the beginning, we had the problem that when you have an experienced team, you don't get much of it. But later, when it gets more experience, they start to understand and they try to give you really useful information. Regarding the artifacts, I see I'm running out of time and I still haven't come to the most interesting stuff. Okay, let's maybe skip the product backlog and sprint backlog and go to burn down chat. As I said, as we were taking lots of stuff and we had this problem in the beginning with delivering, our burn down chats of the sprints look like that. Like it's straight line, and when it's a day or two to the end, it goes down to the middle. Yeah, so if we take 80 story points, we deliver 40, and after, like if we have the sprint for 2 weeks, after that, after 7 days, we had, okay, 1 or 2 story points delivered. And of course, what we were doing during the retrospective, we were talking with people why. And after first sprint, I said, I got the feedback that it's because the stories was like that and it was impossible to do it the other way. Then we had the situation in the second sprint like that. The people started to think, okay, maybe it's not like that. Maybe we are doing something wrong. And yeah, we still are identifying such problems, especially when, for example, we have two big tasks and only one person is taking it, and he's planning in his mind, okay, for sure I'll finish it on Monday, when on Tuesday we have a retrospective, yeah, but it should be code inspected, it should be tested, and but let's move to the that's, I mean, the things which I was talking about, I knew everything like that, about that before the project, and nothing was new for me. But what about the client involvement? It is, as you know, sprint itself is a continuous process, yeah? So when you have a waterfall project, what you do? You gather requirements, you get signatures. When you gather requirements, you have an analyst team working on those requirements. And at some point, you are waiting for the business to get the information from them. But it is not that costly because only analysts are waiting. We sign those requirements, we give them to the development. Of course, I'm not saying that it is good, because if you have, like we do, 2 or 3 years long project, I mean, if it takes half a year for you to gather requirements, a year and a year to develop it, so after the year when you develop it, you can just delete the half of it, yeah. But what is the risk in which I found out in a Scrum, which has to be handled, is that it is a continuous process. That's a good thing about it, but it's also a huge risk, because if you do not manage to get proper requirements on time from the business, you might end up that your team will stop. And when you have 15 people not working, it costs. Yes? But yeah, what has to be done? Most probably what has to be considered is to just to talk with the business that, okay, we have a situation like that. What should we do? Get more talk with the product owners where we have those issues I mean, requirements are not ready for a sprint. But just have that in mind. Another thing is each sprint we were delivering some functionality, and we had an agreement with the business that as soon as functionality is delivered, one thing is during the review meeting you get some feedback, but after that, while we are doing the other sprint, they need to use this functionality, they need to test it to see if it fits to them and to come back with the feedback. And yes, some of the, as I said, the project is big, like 40 people. So some of the people were actually doing it and giving us feedback, and everything was fine. But in some of the cases, we didn't get anything. And of course, the problem is ours that we assume, because if we don't get the feedback, so most probably everything's fine, yeah. And what turned out when we had like 3 weeks to the production, when we started to do the training, in one of the trainings, when we were doing a demo for one of the functionality, after 2 minutes, the business told us, but it doesn't work like it should. And that functionality actually was delivered 2 months prior. So giving the users functionality as soon as possible is a huge advantage of a Scrum. But if nobody will be looking at this functionality, it won't be an advantage. Another thing, and the problem, well, okay, maybe after the product owner training, I have some ideas on that, so I don't see this as a problem, but as a challenge, is what we did. We officially gave a product owner role to the client. And the client, I mean, he did look at this from quite seriously. He assigned a very smart guy who really knew the client needs, and he was really reasonable. But the problem was that he was from IT department. And stakeholders, I mean, people from whom you are gathering requirements, were like, let's say, claims department manager, products department manager. And just imagine when you let's say, get something that claims department managers said that it is a must, it has to be done, and some IT guy, product owner, who is trying to somehow work on it. So actually, we had a product owner from the customer, but it didn't have enough authority. And yeah, one thing is to give a mandate, but what we ended up at some points that we had to go to the project board with some of the user stories. And I mean, to go to the project board, it just takes time. And it's very inefficient. So if you have a product owner, just make sure, talk to the business that he has the right mandate to come up with some kind of a decision. Yes? And sure, I mean, there are other things that what he needs to do is he needs to gather people into one room and talk with them. So gather those stakeholders. Of course, the problem with product department manager and claims department manager is that they're always busy. But if you won't talk, I mean, there will be nothing good out of that. And the last thing is when we talked in the beginning of the project, as I said in that example of when we talked about Scrum, because we actually really love Scrum, that we talked only about advantages. So maybe we did tell to them at some point that with Scrum, actually, you can deliver everything during the 40% of the time. And that's not only customers' fault that they understood it, that they will get everything in 40% of the time, yeah? So just make sure that when you will be talking with your client, don't do only the marketing stuff, but make him understand everything correctly. Because later on, it just will give you problems that, let's say, when you will be like, you have only 20% of the time till the end of the project, there will be some stakeholders coming up and saying, no, come on, guys, I really, we paid that much for the system, we want everything. So it is really a bad situation to get into. And yeah, the last slide is the question, have we succeeded? I mean, we had a lot of challenges. We still have some of them. But I think that we are moving into the right direction. And as I said, I mean, it's the most important is not to give up, just to find out where the problem is and try to come up with the solutions. Yep. Thanks. Questions? Yes.
Do you have any questions? Yes.
Yeah, I do have a question. Now you said that how you succeeded. You told that you feel that you are moving to the right direction. So do you have any metrics that would prove to you that you are moving to the right direction? How do you measure that?
Okay, for me, the biggest metric is the code which we can deliver, yeah? I mean, what we did improve for sure, we did improve our team performance. So let's say if in the beginning we were doing like 40 story points, during our 10th sprint, we delivered about 130. Another thing is, yeah, as I said, I mean, when you come up with the problem, the most important thing is just to deal with them. And when you are solving them, when you are getting problems and solving them, then you just feel that at some point you are in a better situation.
More questions? Wait for a microphone because you.
Yeah, they are recording and they won't hear you if you won't be talking to the microphone.
How were you managing the customer involvement into a project? Because it's quite challenging to get the customer involved every day with the team. How were you managing that, and how you made the customer to work with you quite closely? Because I think it's one of the major risks that customer wouldn't be able to communicate every day or have enough attention for your developers.
Actually, thanks for the question. Actually, none of the slides I said that I manage that, and it is the biggest problem. I was working in other projects where we had business people full-time assigned to the project. That's one thing. Of course, they are getting disturbed, but it's manageable. In this project, from the top management, there was a mandate that the project has the first priority, and everybody should work on the project, and it is more important than the everyday stuff. But of course, when you're in a situation that, let's say, during a sprint review, you got some kind of a new functionality, and you know that during the next 2 weeks you need to test it a little bit, and you have some broker calling to you and saying that we have an emergency with some client, then you have a problem with the business involvement. How it can be managed? There are various ways. I mean, first thing, what you need to do is, of course, talk. Talk that you have problems and that you see that the problem is there. So generally communication. That's how I see it. It's the best solution.
Do you have more questions? If no, so big thanks for Mantvydas that he shared his experience. It's a little bit gift. And now we have a short break, and we'll see you again in David's presentation.